My mother cheated years ago. Now my father refuses to attend my wedding if she's present.
It's either me or your cheating mother.
Quick side note, I know my fiance and I are very young, but we have been together for years and were friends since childhood before we became a couple.
And OP is 22 female.
Good to know. Also, I hate to say it, but we are religious and it's common in our culture to marry young. We've been through both premarital and financial counseling, so we feel very prepared.
Oh, financial counseling?
Nice. Wow, smart. By the way, this comes from Woozle Fangirl, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, my issue at hand has to do with the wedding. My fiance Steve and I are getting married in 8 months. We don't have a lot of money, and honestly, neither of us can stand fancy dues, so we are having a private ceremony with only his best man and my maid of honor as witnesses, and then we are having a tiny reception afterwards with only 50 people total. So obviously, this is going to be quite an intimate reception. Here is the thing. My parents can't stand each other, or at least my dad can't stand my mom. 5 years ago, in my last year of high school, my mother was caught having an affair with her married coworker.
Oh, double whammy.
Ouch. It destroyed my parents' marriage. My father became a changed man. He was always happy and confident, outgoing guy, but he became quiet, withdrawn, and just empty. It unalived me seeing him like this.
Dude, you're gonna let your cheating wife take that away from you?
Nah, don't let her take away your joy.
Don't let her win.
Don't let her cheat or win.
Go into spy mode.
Yeah.
Still be yourself.
My mother moved out because me and my younger brother, who was 15 at the time, basically told her to get the F out. I have always been close with my mom, loved her to pieces, but finding out about her affair and seeing what it did to my dad, I've always known my dad to adore my mother, nuked my relationship with her. My brother and I went no contact with her for about a year. I finally relented when I sent her an invitation to my high school graduation and made it clear her partner was not involved. My brother took a little longer to come around, but he talks to her from time to time. Both of us told the judge we wanted to live with our dad full time, which was granted to us.
Oh.
My relationship with my mother is still strained and distant. I know she wants more. She's constantly trying to talk to me, and she sobbed in relief when I sent her my graduation invite after not talking to her for almost a year. But I keep her at arm's length and merely make polite casual conversation now and again. I still love my mother and I don't want to cut her out completely, but this is as close as I want her. And I will never again have a close relationship with her. As for her affair partner, apparently they are still together after his wife caught and divorced him.
I mean,
yikes.
if you're
going to destroy 2 families, you got to make it worth it.
You have to make it worth it. If you're going full sins, that's my rule. If you cheat, you have to stay with
the person. You got to make it worth it. I have never met him and made it clear to my mother I do not want to. If Mom and I meet for coffee or anywhere, he is not to come. I refuse to see pictures or discuss him with her. If she brings him up, I immediately change the subject. I have no idea if my mom is happy with him, if they're doing well, etc. I frankly don't care.
Ooh.
As for my father, in a way, we are closer, but he clearly has issues. It's been 5 years, and he's clearly not over the cheating and divorce. He's not angry or bitter about it, just very sad and depressed. He won't call my mom or her lover by their names. He calls them he, him, or she, her. He hasn't dated once since the divorce either. He won't be around her. For my graduation, they had to be at polar opposite ends of the bleachers, and I had to have my phone on me so I could text my mom when she was allowed to approach and congratulate me, and then so I could text my dad to let him know my mom left.
Oh, man.
That's so frustrating as the kid to be caught between this.
Be the middleman.
Yeah, like totally understandable that the dad is affected by this, but to the extent that now he is making his daughter be the go-between. Come on. It will be this way when I graduate college as well. So my question goes to my wedding. After I told my dad what Steve and I had planned for our wedding and reception, he got very quiet and asked if I plan on inviting her and him. I said yes, I would probably invite my mom, even though her partner is not invited. My dad quietly said it's rude to only invite one half of a couple. He then said he didn't think he could come if she was going to be there. Come on, dude. Come on. Like, she sucks. She's the a-hole here, but you're not going to go to your daughter's wedding because a woman who you divorced 5 years ago is going to be there. You don't have to talk to her.
Come on, dude.
Come on.
She's just going to be over there in the corner feeling bad about the family she messed up. You just go there, live your best of life.
Yeah, it's
Get a hot date.
Get a hot date. It's one day.
Get a hot date, dude.
That maybe he could be there before or after she comes, but he just doesn't think he could interact with her in such a close setting. You don't have to. Just don't talk to her.
Wow, you're like letting her win.
This guy. I was floored and very hurt. I told my dad I would think about it. Steve and I need to start sending out save the dates pretty soon, so we need to get this resolved. I've talked about this with Steve, and while he is very sweet and says he will fully support me no matter what decision I make, that I'm the only one who can make the decision. I also talked to my brother about it, and he says he will show up no matter what, but he won't have much to do with their mother if she's invited, beyond basic courtesies, and that he understands Dad's position, but thinks he's being kind of ridiculous. He's also said it's technically rude to not invite her boyfriend, but it's also pretty rude to destroy two families by having an affair with another married man so her boyfriend can go F himself. And mother can shove wedding etiquette up her butt. Personally, he'd prefer I not invite her either, but it's my wedding and I can do what I want and he will roll with it. My brother is a very blunt man and has not been as forgiving of the affair as I have. So now I'm stuck. On the one hand, if we are being honest, I really do want to invite my mother to my wedding reception. I absolutely will not invite her boyfriend, regardless of how tacky it seems. He is not and will never be a part of our family. And honestly, I'm kind of angry with my dad. Believe me, I understand his pain and hurt, but it's been 5 years and I think he needs to start moving on. It's fine if he doesn't like Mom. I don't much like her either. But to boycott my own wedding because she might be coming? Get over yourself. It's like his hurt feelings are more important than his only daughter's wedding. They are. To him, they are, which is ridiculous. He really can't suck it up and just be in a reception hall with her for a few hours. On the other hand, I really love my dad. I hate seeing him hurt. I can't stand causing him pain. If I absolutely have to choose between my two parents, I will pick my father every time. Despite him being kind of a wet blanket about the wedding, he's a good man with a good heart. My dad and I are very close, and I don't want to jeopardize my relationship with him, and I would much rather he be at my wedding than my mother. Plus, I'm thinking since I refused to invite my mom's boyfriend, and it really is considered a wedding faux pas, I just shouldn't invite her altogether. I really don't want my dad to not come.
That's a good point.
But you want her there.
You want her there?
You want her there, and your dad's being a little baby.
I don't know about the little baby part.
I think he's being a little baby.
He's hurt.
Yes, he's allowed to be hurt, but it's been 5 years, and if he's putting his daughter's wedding below his feelings, then that's
what I was gonna say.
What were you gonna say?
Is he's hurt. I don't think he's given the time or space for him to allow himself to process this or to move on. And I think I grew up in religion. I think that her family did too. We put a lot of emphasis on our partner, and we put a lot of ourselves are in our partner. And I remember after my last relationship, I put a lot of myself into my partner, and I lost myself. And I had to realize I have to build myself from the bottom up and be whole again. So I'm myself going into the next relationship, not I am my partner going to my next relationship. I think he lost himself in her and does not know how to rebuild himself or has the tools to do that. Because he lost all his confidence. He lost who he was.
I agree. I just think that can be true and he can be on his own journey, but I think it's still...
This is at least
good.
1 day, 2 days.
It's 1 day. I just think at the end of the day, he is allowed to not want to date people. That's fine. He is allowed to need to go to therapy. He's allowed to never want to talk to her.
Yeah, he doesn't have to do anything. He doesn't interact with her
forever,
I agree.
But to not go to your daughter's wedding because of this woman.
You shouldn't punish her for it.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But despite how my mom and I are not and will never be close again, and how I think she's getting her just desserts for having an affair, I don't want to hurt her by not inviting her altogether. I'm well and truly stuck. I don't know what to do, and honestly, I've broken down crying over this a few times because it's just so stressful and I feel caught in the middle between two people I love. And there are some comments and an update, but I feel like you've already said what you think. Do you have any other thoughts? before we jump into these comments and see
I want
what
to hear
people
what the
think?
comments say.
Comment 1, options as I see them. Invite them both. Sit down with your dad and say, look, I love you and I want you to be there. You're going to regret missing it. You won't have to talk to her. If she tries to talk to you, I'll have her thrown out. It's important to me that she be there even though we're not close anymore, and it's important to me that you be there. And while the choice is obviously yours, I'm going to be really hurt if you don't come. With this option, tell your mother that she is not to engage with your siblings or your father, that she's not to attempt to mend any broken fences at the event. So that's option 1, which I think that's a really great way of putting it.
Heart to heart with dad.
Yeah, heart to heart, saying she cannot talk to you. If she does, I'll throw her out.
I like that.
But I would like to have you here. I think that's a good option.
I like that.
Option 2, invite one to the wedding and one to the reception, or one to the rehearsal and one to the actual day. Probably your mother should get the reception or rehearsal in that case. Option 3, invite neither of them. Nuclear option. If you can't behave like adults, just don't come. Not recommended. Which, I mean, like,
that's
the
nuclear
mother
option.
hasn't really... It's not even really the mom.
It's the
not
dad
behaving.
putting the power
Yeah.
play on, someone
Yeah.
said. I forget who it was.
It's healthy to avoid certain people being in your life. To some extent, I can see where your dad is coming from. I've regularly recommended that someone just not go somewhere that, say, an ex-abuser is going to be in attendance. But if he were here, I would almost certainly tell him to suck it up. I will say that if they end up in the same room, it should absolutely not fall on your shoulders to be texting your dad and telling him when it's okay to approach. Someone else needs to do that for you. If that has to happen, you're going to be under enough stress. And Opie says, this is really good advice. I've considered inviting my dad to the wedding itself and my mom to the reception, but neither Steve nor I really want to do this. It's very non-traditional on both our parts to have a super private ceremony, but we have it this way for a reason. We don't want a large audience. It was too hard to pick which people to have there and which to only have at the reception. So we said, screw it, just our closest friends as witnesses. I really do need to sit my dad down and talk to him about this again. I really like your option number 1. It's very good. Thank you for the whole post. And comment 2, was your mom a good mother to you and your brother? If so, invite her. Your parents' relationship and how it failed is really none of your or your brother's business. Cheaters always get all of the blame for relationships failing, and I'm not making excuses for her behavior. She should have just ended things. They had to have had other issues going on. People don't usually just cheat with no reason unless they're just a-holes. And chances are, if she's such an a-hole, she probably wasn't a good mother either. Anyway, if your dad can't be around her so much that he'd missed your wedding, then that's his choice. I'd ask her not to bring a date, and same to him. But tell him that she's your mother and you want her there, if you do. What he chooses to do is on him, not you. Shame on him for putting you in that position. And Opie says she was actually a pretty great mom until the affair, but it could be she's an a-hole and a good mother. I mean, I think she's an a-hole regardless, but she's,
She'd still be a good mom.
She could still be a good mom.
Mother. Not a good mom, but a good mother.
I went to my own personal therapy during and after the divorce, and reflecting back on it, my dad was always very good to my mom, showed her lots of affection, gave praise, helped her when she was sick, would spontaneously buy her flowers and other presents, etc. But my mom never really reciprocated. It's always been obvious to me my dad adored my mom, but thinking back, I wasn't ever sure she loved him because she certainly never showed it.
Oh.
Dang.
Dude, I've seen relationships like that.
Dang, man.
Those are hard to look at.
That's
Whenever
sad.
the guy's like pouring his heart out and the woman's just kind of like...
My therapist also pointed out that people can be good parents, but also terrible parents and or people outside of that role. And that honestly helped me come to terms with getting over the affair between reconciling the mother I knew, who I loved and was close with, and this selfish person who did a terrible thing to our family. I really think she's one of those people my therapist described as good parent, bad partner, and or person, and that the two aren't mutually exclusive or inclusive. Thank you for your advice. It's definitely something I'll incorporate when I talk to him about this again. And there is an update. Apparently a very long update. But I honestly, I think option number 1 is the best way to go.
Option
of
number
talking
1.
to him and being like, dude, I want you to be there.
Option number 1, but how far the dad has fallen from being the great person he is, I believe he's going to double down.
And be like, no, I can't go.
He's not going to go. He's going to punish his daughter rather than adulting, being near his ex for a day.
And honestly, I feel like you like don't not invite your mom because you want her there.
Yeah.
Your dad is going to make a decision. I think that at the end of the day, you should make the decision that you want to make, which is invite both of your parents. And then they can make whatever decisions.
Yeah. Yep.
Because it puts nothing on you.
And clearly lay out how it will make you feel either way.
Exactly.
And
like, don't be like, oh, okay, fine, if you don't want to come. Be like, no, this is going to hurt me if you do not come. Update.
All right.
This is a very long update. Also, this post is probably going to get flamed, judging how the comments went down as more time went on, the longer my post was up. This is probably going to anger many people, but there were also lots of nice and helpful people too. So I was reading all the comments, and the more time went on, the more angry and upset I became.
Don't let them get to you. They're just trying to get a rise out of you. Just pick the good ones and laugh at the bad ones.
People eventually started saying, why should parents always have to sacrifice for children? Some said I was being a bridezilla and only caring about my day. Of course I care. It's my wedding. Those comments are stupid. It's supposed to be a once-in-a-lifetime event that I want to share with everyone. Many people said my dad had depression and my mother's actions were so evil he was forever off the hook for good. Everyone was giving suggestions on how I could meticulously plan the days to rotate everyone, and I felt like screaming. Steve eventually told me to get off Reddit because he hated seeing me so upset. I couldn't even say exactly why I was upset. I just was. Steve said maybe I should go back to my old therapist that I had when my parents got divorced and talk it out with her. To me, this seemed like a great idea. I called her up and asked to have an appointment, despite finals being right around the corner. So I went, and everything came out. How much I hurt still from what Mom did, and how we can never be close again. And honestly, how angry I am at my father. I never really realized it, but I've gotten so furious and resentful of him, how he never even tried to get out of his funk, how dejected he acted if Mom somehow came up, how he never said anything directly bad about her, but suddenly made me feel guilty for loving her. Acting mopey, going from fine to depressed if she somehow came up. How I always feel like I have to walk on eggshells around him, and how he gets a free pass because he got cheated on. Something that happens to tons of people every day.
Mm-hmm.
I talked and talked and talked. I made a couple more appointments. I go through finals. I want to shout out to Steve here. He is the only reason I got through it all and passed and got my degree. He is an incredible human being. The tipping point was on my graduation day. Once again, my father made it clear Mom couldn't be sat near him, and he couldn't be near her at all. I had to text her when she could come talk to me, and had to text him once she left. Her boyfriend was, of course, not invited, but it was so embarrassing having to contact the officials in charge of the ceremony and ask if my tickets could be changed so my parents could sit far away from each other. That is so frustrating.
Mm.
They were kind and understanding, but that's when I began to get very, very angry. My mom has no problem with my dad. She doesn't mind being near him, even though she doesn't love him. I began to think how I'm going to have to rearrange all of my milestones. My marriage, when I have children, my children's christenings and birthday parties, etc. Graduation was miserable. I couldn't look in any one direction to see my family as I got my degree and walked the stage because they had to be spread out. I had to make sure my phone was on me and fully charged so I could coordinate my mother and father's locations. It was so awkward mingling with one group and then my mother, knowing both groups were waiting to have their turn. My brother interacted with my mother and he was kind of cold, but cordial nonetheless. My mother made no complaints, didn't try to argue or force herself in there, and patiently waited for her turn, even though I could tell she was dying to spend more time with me. Pictures had to be rotated. I couldn't have one with all of my family in there. My father was constantly texting during my time with her, asking if she had left yet and if he could come back now. I don't like this man.
I don't know if he knows how to adult.
It seemed so childish. It is. He's being a child. He's being a petulant child who was hurt. She did an awful thing and was an a-hole to him. That is, that's obvious. But why is he taking it on an OP? Honestly, the rest of my family could tolerate my mother being around. After all, the divorce was years ago. It's time to start getting over it and moving on with life. It was only because of my dad that I couldn't relax and just be happy and enjoy my graduation with my family. I was supposed to go to dinner with my dad, boyfriend, and other family after graduation to celebrate. I told him I felt very sick and needed to go home. I just didn't want to be around anyone anymore. Steve just held me while I bawled my eyes out. You know what? Really quick. Steve, great constant throughout the story.
Oh,
Steve's killing it, man.
That is a solid rock right there.
That's a rock of a man. I hadn't cried that hard in years. I met with my therapist a couple more times. This is turning into a novel, so I'll summarize what I came to realize in therapy.
Okay.
While the initial anger and hate I felt for my mom was real, I never stopped loving her. But I felt like because my dad had been wronged, I had to take his side. My dad had always made me feel guilty for loving my mother. While his actions had never been overt, it had been very subtle manipulation.
Yep.
I mean, not even that subtle. He's just like, your mother's terrible.
Are you done yet? I want to
talk to you.
I feel like he feels she deserves nothing.
Yeah.
Especially OP's time. He wants to keep it.
Yeah, he doesn't want her. He feels like his marriage was stolen from him by her, and so
and he
doesn't want her to steal you.
And he put his everything into it.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And so he's trying to like win you.
Yeah.
Felt like I had to give my dad carte blanche, whatever he wanted, because if I didn't, I felt like I would lose him too. That he would reject and have nothing to do with me if I didn't practically ostracize my mother. My mother was at one point my best friend, and that's gone. Oh, that's so sad. I couldn't stand losing both my parents, so dad has gotten whatever he wanted, and I'm realizing that in a subtle way, dad has been manipulating my brother and I to treat our mother terribly for years to punish her. My dad has always been a super passive-aggressive guy. It's nothing new. He's always guilt-tripped people and made these little comments that twist people up and hurt them. It's his form of control. I love both of my parents. My mother did a terrible, horrible thing, but my dad is no saint either.
Mm-hmm.
My mother was just more upfront about her awfulness.
Yeah, dad still needs to own up on his feelings. Just, I don't know, acknowledge his feelings. I feel like he's bottling them up.
He needs to go to therapy. He's been bottling them up for 5 years.
You have so much more life to live, my dude.
Yeah.
It seems like you're a great person, and I'm pretty sure there'd be a lucky lady to be with you.
Yeah, if you can work through your problems. My therapist and Steve also pointed out that if my dad is truly depressed or emotionally damaged, he has never sought to get help for it. Instead, he has projected his problems and pain onto everyone else and made it their burden instead of taking responsibility for himself and attempting to go on with life. And that is not okay. No, it is not. I called my mom and asked her over for tea. Steve left to give us privacy. I could list everything we said and talked about, but it would make the post longer. Basically, my mom never loved my dad and should never have agreed to marry him. My dad knew mom didn't love him, but didn't care and insisted she would love him eventually. Some very eye-opening things were said that made sense. My mother never trash-talked my dad, never has, but she gave insights as to why the affair happened. She says she understands it's no excuse for what she did, and she is so very sorry for her own selfishness and weakness. Basically, both my parents are human, and mistakes were made from both sides. My mom had the affair, yes, but it's not like my dad was the perfect man either. While I will never again be close to my mom, perhaps I don't need to be quite as harsh with her as I have been.
I don't think OP's been that harsh.
I think probably it's just OP has really not been seeing her that much because the dad is making it
because
so
he
difficult.
wants to be in dad's favors.
Yeah.
Got it.
We will still be low contact, but I did decide I do want her there for the wedding and for the birth of any children I have. I love my mom, always have and always will. She may not have been a good wife, but she was an excellent mother, and I don't want to cut her out completely. I think my kids' lives will be more enriched having her in it.
I do kind of have a similar thing happening with my family. So there's this, whatever, she's not going to watch it. There's this one grandma that has been kind of hard on my mom growing up. And she did some kind of messed up stuff to my mom and all that. And my mom has kind of talked badly about her because she has been upset with her. So I have also kind of viewed my grandma through this lens. But my mom recently, at the end of the trip and Christmas, she was like, hey, I just want to kind of apologize for the way I've been speaking about this person because she is your grandma. And I do have like a lot of pent up like baggage with her, but I should not let that affect the way you see your grandmother.
That's lovely.
And I was like, wow, that is a really good point. Because like my grandma's not going to be around a lot.
Yeah.
I love her and I want to be in her life and in that kind of stuff. I think the dad needs to own up on that.
Yeah.
And do the same thing.
I agree. I think that it's really hard to kind of separate your relationship with someone with a family member or a child's.
Yeah.
But I think it is important, especially when it's your parents.
Absolutely.
Especially, like, you have to make sure that you are not putting the baggage of your ex-partner onto your children.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or whatever that relationship, is. My mother started crying when I told her she was invited to the wedding, even though I made it clear to her her boyfriend is not invited. She didn't argue with me on that at all, and said she thought I had asked her to my house to tell her I would not be inviting her, and she had been prepared to accept that rejection and understand it. Oh. I did tell her that if Dad was there, she was to stay away from him and not try to mend any fences at my wedding. She says she understands completely and will mingle with my grandparents, her parents, and my aunts, uncles, and cousins, her siblings, and their children. I made it clear to my mother that if she even attempted to talk to Dad or any of his family, she would be thrown out. She agreed without question.
She seems to be in full alignment here.
Yeah, well, she seems a lot more reasonable.
She knows her
and that
role
she
in
wants
this.
to be there for OP. She recognizes that she made a horrible, terrible mistake, and that she's trying to be there for her daughter, which is what the dad should be doing.
And she seems happy with her relationship that she's in now.
Yeah.
I'm just disappointed in the mom that she had to that she didn't go through divorce.
Yeah.
And decided to
like she's clearly the a-hole in that move. Yeah.
But I guess it's kind of cool how we already know that situation, but it's like the second layer of it is what we're like discussing. Yeah.
Exactly. Steve and I had a final sit down before I called my dad. I asked him to please give me his honest opinion. Steve relented and said, well, he thought what my mother had done was inexcusable. She actually seemed remorseful and willing to accept the consequences of her actions and to move on, and that my dad, while a nice guy, came off as way too sensitive and just weak. Whoo, dang, man. He said that my dad didn't cheat, but he had caused me a lot of pain and anxiety since the divorce, and it made him very angry, and it was getting hard to like or tolerate my dad, and that his family felt the same way. That my dad was actually a master bully in disguise as a super nice guy.
Nice.
Whoa.
Some nice guys are manipulative. You know what? Hot take.
Steve just read your dad, OP.
Hot freaking take. I do think that this guy needs to man up.
I agree.
And
I think
get his manhood back.
I think he's being a coward. I think his clearly OP's mom has like gone through a lot of self, work and improvement, and he's just stuck.
Have you seen Crazy Stupid Love?
I have.
My favorite
Don't like that movie.
Right?
Not my favorite movie. It's not my favorite movie. It's one of my favorite
why do you not
rom-coms.
like it?
Sorry. Wait.
Why do you not like it?
I was thinking of Love Actually, which I hate that movie. Crazy Stupid Love is with Ryan Gosling, right?
Yes.
I do love
Steve
Crazy
Carell.
Stupid Love.
Steve
So,
Carell. Oh,
you remember when
great
Crazy
movie.
Steve
Stupid Love's
Carell
great.
is like, my wife cheated on me
Yeah.
with da-da-da-da-da, and he's just in the bar like, oh.
And then Ryan Gosling's like, I'm going to find your manhood back.
Yeah, he's like, dude, you let your wife take away your manhood, and you let this man do that. Wake up!
Yeah, it's
this
great
guy
movie.
needs a Ryan Gosling in his life.
Be better than The Gap.
Yeah,
Be better
it
than
is a
The
great
Gap.
movie. Sorry, I thought you
But
were
I'm
talking
just
about
thinking
Love
about
Actually.
no. But I'm just
Don't
thinking
like that
about if
movie.
Steve Carell didn't meet Ryan Gosling in that movie, this is
He'd
who
be
this
this
guy
guy.
is. Yeah.
I called my dad and asked to come over and that I needed to talk about something. I sat him down in his living room, so this talk was in his space where he could retreat if he needed to, and said basically, Dad, I love you so much. You mean the world to me, but after the fiasco of my graduation, I've come to realize I've had enough of feeling like I have to pick sides with you and Mom. I'm sorry about what happened, Dad. I really am. But that was 5 years ago. You lost a wife, but I didn't lose a mom. I'm sure you don't mean to, but you've been making me feel like I can't be close with you if I want to have any kind of relationship with Mom. If it's still impossible to even be in the room with her, Dad, then maybe you need to talk to someone so you can start feeling better and not be in so much pain. Is there some kind of abuse that happened that you're not telling me about that makes this impossible? My dad seemed shocked and then started to get really upset and basically said Mom had never hit him or anything, but that she cheated and broke his heart, and that was reason enough to cut her out. Dad also said I couldn't understand because I hadn't been cheated on and I didn't know what real love was. She's about to get married, dude.
There's a comment here from GGA.
GGA says, y'all better stop with all this fanfic. Opie's mom still cheated with the married man. She's not a victim in this. We're not saying that she's a victim.
We're just going to the
We're
second
just saying
layer.
that, yeah, there is the first layer, which is she's an a-hole for cheating on him.
Mhm.
And then there's the second layer, which is OP is not a part of that relationship at all.
She's just trying to coexist.
She's just trying
and
to love her
co-live.
mother and her father, who are still her mother and their father, regardless of what's going on between them.
And one party is okay with coexisting, but the
Yeah.
other party is making it very
making it
difficult.
possible for OP. OP
OP.
is the person here that is getting hurt, and that's the only person that
And
matters.
OP is not even like super close with her mom anymore. She's going
Yeah, she just
low
wants her out the
contact and is
wedding.
doing the bare minimum to keep her mom
Yeah.
in her life.
I didn't know what real love was, and also implied it was my fault and my brother's fault because if we weren't a part of the relationship, he could move on. But we always remind him of her and what they had, and how because of us, he can't make a clean break since she's in our lives, etc. I'm sure many Redditors will disagree, but this is my dad being typically passive, insinuating that because my brother and I exist, he can't get better because we are reminders of mother, and it's our fault we exist, so he can't cut her out totally. I realize that my dad thinks that if he can get me and my brother to cut my mom out, not only will he succeed in punishing her, but he can have us all to himself and not have to share her with her and deal with his hurt. He's getting us to do the dirty work for him so he doesn't have to take responsibility.
All right, bro. You got to man up. You got to stop weaponizing your kids to get back at your ex. You need to weaponize yourself by investing in yourself and showing how you've moved on, found a better partner, found a better self of yourself, and just live your life. Your wife did a scummy thing, and she's living that life, and that's her consequence. But you need to freaking run up and do it yourself, and just look up and stop weaponizing your kids.
Literally.
Gosh,
Therapy.
you know what? You know what's gonna be painful is whenever your kids go to her mom and they're like, "Oh, how's dad?" And he's like, "Oh my gosh, dad just built a third house for his new wife."
You suck.
Weaponize them in that way of how great your life is.
Yeah.
That's why I used to have mutual friends with my ex, so they would tell them how well I was doing. And I know she knows I live in LA and I'm living my best life. She knows that. Because I that's how I planned. It's like,
I told my dad that I loved him and wanted him at the wedding, but mother is invited. Her boyfriend isn't, but she is. I told dad that I had talked to her and I promised him she would leave him alone and stay away from him and his family. And could he not just put aside differences for a few hours to celebrate with me and Steve on our date? He said absolutely not, and that I was being unfair and insensitive, and that my mom had poisoned me against him, that he wasn't the cheat, and she needed to deal with what she had done and not come, and by inviting her, I was clearly supporting her cheating, and that we couldn't be close if that was the case because I was being too much like her.
I say we go low contact.
Yeah,
with
and
the
at
dad
that
here.
point, I'd be like, okay, Dad, I can't have a relationship with you if you're going to be like this.
Because I don't
yeah.
want my kids to be around this and my kids to think of their grandma like this.
And
The dad's just pushing everyone away.
the fact that he is blaming OP's mom's cheating on OP, still ridiculous.
Very ridiculous.
He's gonna lose everyone.
Yeah.
He lost his wife. He's gonna lose his daughter.
I had enough. I stood up and said, Dad, Steve and I really want you there. You're free to come or not. I love you, but if you don't come, it will absolutely affect our relationship going forward. I'm not doing any more separate celebrations or events. People can either come or stay home for weddings, parties, births, and whatever. It's getting ridiculous, and I'm sick of being in the middle. The rest is up to you and Mom. Nice.
Nice. There we go.
Then I left.
All right.
I haven't heard from my dad since. That's been hard, but I feel like I did the right thing. You did. I also called my brother and told him everything that happened. My brother was very quiet. And then he said, while he still hates our mom for what she did and thinks she's an or,
Oh, wow.
damn, that maybe there is more to this than he realized, and that he thinks our dad is being a selfish jerk and needs to get over himself. He said it's fine, Mom is coming to the wedding, and that he would be nice to her. So that's that. I'm sure many will disagree and be angry with me, but Steve and I feel we made the right call. You did.
Yep.
In my opinion, you did.
You did.
Steve loves and supports me, and that's all that matters. I talked to my therapist about it, and she said it's possible I was harsh, but that maybe my dad needed to hear that since he has been coddled and enabled for 5 years. I am fully prepared for my dad to not show up. If he doesn't, it's his loss. Thanks again to everyone who gave me input. Some of your comments were very eye-opening. I may post an update in the future after the wedding, but I haven't decided yet. And edit, I wanted to point out some things that keep coming up.
I have one thought.
Yeah, you can say it.
It does suck. I mean, we keep going in circles about like the mom and dad. I feel like we have a good stance on the mom. We have a good stance on how about we feel about the dad. The brother seems like he's kind of coming around. He's like, oh, I didn't realize.
He's like, I don't like mom, but also dad's being a jerk.
Yeah, he didn't realize how bad it was. And also Steve again, guys.
Steve, at the end of the day, Steve is a constant. Steve is killing it.
Yep.
Yeah.
We love Steve.
Edit. I wanted to point out some things that keep coming up. Remember, I come from a religion and culture that is very different from most people here. Divorce is shameful for us. It is humiliating. The only justifiable reason for divorce is an affair for our people. Divorce because you're not happy is not an excusable reason. An affair is the only way out, which again does not justify the mom, but does kind of give a little
because
more.
They're religious.
Yeah, it does give a little bit more context.
Because the only way you can divorce
is an affair.
Is if someone's being unfaithful. And I think there was another reason. But I think that was the only one I can remember off the top of my head.
However, that being said, the person who commits the affair has just crippled themselves. Spicy sleep is very holy and pure in our religion and culture. It is to be between husband and wife only. That's it. And if you break up a marriage because of it, you're forever blacklisted. While my mother should have gotten a divorce without having an affair, she still would have had a scarlet letter on her chest for getting divorced for no reason, which is an ultimate act of selfishness.
They are Mormon.
Yeah.
They are Mormon. She is 22, getting married right away.
Yeah. Marriage is very holy in our culture. To divorce for any reason other than an affair is to be like an unbelieving sinner, which is quite simply not acceptable.
Oh my gosh.
I don't necessarily agree with this, as I'm a little more liberal than the rest of my family and most people, but it is what it is. My mother did not get off scot-free. She is no longer welcome in her church, and none of her friends associate with her anymore. Her family, her friends, her church, her entire community has shunned her. She also lost her job because dipping your pen in company ink is expressly frowned upon at her former workplace. Because remember, she had an affair with her coworker.
Dipping your ink.
That's funny. Both she and her lover lost their jobs and had to find new ones.
So wait, with our company, what if someone is having relationships with a coworker?
In our company?
Mm-hmm. Is that okay?
You're fired. You're fired, Riley.
Should have fired me 6 months ago then.
Many are saying I need to start including my mom's partner in things, and saying the fact she has been with him this whole time shows they have something special. It actually does not. I didn't put this in my post, but my mom and I actually talked about her boyfriend for the first time. They are on the verge of breaking up, and the relationship has been rocky for a while. P's family and friends have disowned him too. He is not of our religion or culture, double bogus for my mom for taking a lover outside the faith, but no one wants anything to do with P. His ex-wife has made their lives heck and will not let them see his kids. When he does see them, they treat my mother terribly and make their hatred known. P is also sick of being not invited to every family event on our side and said Mom needs to start demanding he be invited to things. Mom is of the viewpoint that they brought misery on themselves and need to accept the consequences of their actions, and furthermore knows that if she insisted on bringing P, she would burn the last of the bridges she has with us and will not do that. P is sick of her not putting him first, and the relationship is falling apart because of it.
Ooh.
Dang, man. The only reason they have lasted this long is because Mom and P only have each other because no one else wants them.
Dang, trauma bond 2 on top of it.
Ouch, ouch,
Yikes.
ouch. And they both know it. My mom actually does love her boyfriend, but he doesn't love her anymore, and she knows they aren't gonna make it. By the way, you guys should always make it to another full episode with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app and search up OK Storytime. But there is a little teeny bit left to this story.
So Mom's not really winning in this scenario.
No, the mom has been losing a lot. And that, yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah.
I hate it for her. I mean, you know, everyone
story
deserves
has-
love.
That
the story is not
karma?
black and white. But the story's not black and white.
It's not.
It's
There's
not.
a
It's
lot
like
of
she
gray
should not have
layers.
cheated, but also she came from a really religious family and didn't feel like she could divorce.
She
Again,
didn't feel
doesn't
like-
excuse it.
Yeah, she just didn't feel like she had another option out.
Yeah. And the husband OP's father was cheated on, which is terrible. And now he's acting like a child.
Yep.
So it's just very not a black and white
Let's just
story.
look at it here. Mom, as a parent, great parent.
Yeah.
But as a lover and as a partner, not so great. But there's, again, not so black and white.
Also,
Father,
Yeah, agreed. Also, Hattie Vincent said she is Mormon, and she says she doesn't think it's from the Mormon Church. Maybe I could
Someone
see
said
it in
Jehovah's Witnesses.
Jehovah's Witnesses. I could see it
Some
in my
people said that,
like Baptist or non-denominational. Non-denominational is sort of like a mixed bag, but like from a Baptist standpoint, I could see that. Or like I think my grandma's was someone with a P, Presbyterian standpoint. I could see that if they're pretty like about it.
Yeah.
But overall, I don't know what sect of religion this is.
It
could be left field. It could be like Islam or something like that.
Could be.
Who knows?
Could be Buddhist, yeah.
I don't think it would be Buddhist.
We don't know.
Many are saying, even explicitly hoping, Steve cheats on me, so I understand my dad's pain. People in comments are crazy. Because I clearly don't, since I haven't been cheated on. Hey, that's what my dad said. Those people are crazy. This experience has actually taught me the opposite. If Steve were to cheat, I would be out of my mind with pain and hurt. I wouldn't be able to function. I don't blame my dad for being unable to be around my mother at first. If I had children with Steve, as much as it would suck, I would put on my big girl pants and do what needed to be done for my kids. I've gotten plenty of comments and PMs from people who were cheated on and heartbroken and devastated, and they did what needed to be done. Since I now know what it's like to have parents that pick their pain over their kids, I know I would never want to put my kids through that. It's just basic human decency. I am not on any parent's side. I don't love either of my parents more, nor do I think either should be demonized and bashed or out on a pedestal and coddled. My parents are human and imperfect. They are both great people, and they both have done some really crappy things. That's it, and that's all. Dang, what a little like slice of life from this person. Truly just like a just gray area of a story.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can't say people that are black and white.
And I'm
They
just
aren't.
praying that this doesn't bleed into her own marriage with Steve.
Yeah.
And that this doesn't affect
I
or
doubt it
become
will.
a
I
role
doubt it
model.
will.
Yeah.
I know right now,
yeah.
yes, but years
Sure.
after seeing it,
It seems like they are already going to marriage counseling and financial
Yeah.
counseling. I think they are on a good footing.
And
Yeah.
Steve is a W.
And Steve, man.
Straight W.
Steve.
I do want to go to financial counseling. I'm going to add that
Yeah.
to my things.
That's cool.
Yeah, marriage counseling, pre-marriage counseling is a
I
absolute
think,
must.
yeah, I think talking about your finances is super important before you get married.
I think my thoughts are, if you're in a relationship for 2 years, some form of counseling together is good.
Mm-hmm.
It's like maintenance repair, not like there's a problem. It's just like, how can I put my best foot forward?
Yeah. Counseling's never a bad thing.
Yeah.
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 It's not. It's like
True
it doesn't mean there's something bad that's going on. It's just
True.
it's good to have.
that.
It's good to have.
But that is the end of that story.
Not the episode.
What?
We got
What?
one more. I kept getting paired to a single groomsman. I'm tired of it. This happened at a wedding I was a bridesmaid at a few weeks ago. I, 35 female, have never been married, no kids, and more than likely will be the last of my friend group to get married. I have been a bridesmaid to too many times to count.
Ooh, 27 dresses.
Almost always I get paired off with another single guy. By the way, this comes from Substantial T41 and on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So my family and friends treat this as an attempt to hook me up with another single guy.
Ooh.
They think it would be so romantic if we tell our grandkids who we met at a wedding. I've never been interested in these guys. At the last wedding I was at, I was paired off with the groom's 42-year-old stepbrother. Off the bat, I wasn't interested in Dave. If I were to see his profile on a dating app, I would immediately swipe left.
This is annoying because I feel like it's annoying that they keep trying to pair you up with someone and you're like, hey, stop. But also two, that they're pairing up with people that like aren't your taste.
They're like getting desperate. They're like,
Like-
all right, anyone.
Yeah, I'm sorry if my friends know my taste. And if your friends don't know your taste, they're
Hey,
not your friends.
now you're freaking friends. Back to this wedding. I get through the ceremony and I'm now at the reception. I run into some old friends I haven't seen in a long time and didn't know they would be in town. So we spent the night together, catching up and covertly watching a VGK game someone was streaming on their phone. The bride came up to me and asked if I wanted to sit with Dave. He was alone at a table and wanted to get to know me better. I told her sorry, I wasn't interested, and went back to talking with my friends. If Dave wanted to talk to me, well, he's a grown-ass man and can do it himself. I spent the night hanging out with my friends, having a great time, and didn't think too much of it until a few weeks later. I see the bride at a party, and she doesn't even greet me. She tells me that I was a witch for ignoring Dave.
Oh my God.
Apparently, he thought I was cute and wanted to get to know me better.
Okay, who cares?
Well, then make the
She
move, dog.
didn't think that. She didn't reciprocate.
Make the move. Make the move. He just couldn't because he struggles with social cues. At least I could have just saw him for a few minutes and be nice to him. First off, I'm sick of being just nice to make a man happy. I told her that I was just there to be a bridesmaid, not to be a mender for a middle-aged man. She still called me out for being rude, stuck up. Which was I the a-hole, or was the bride going out of line? One more thing, a few months before the wedding, I started to see a guy I met at a conference. I never told anyone because I wasn't sure if the relationship would last at the time. I don't plan on telling anyone until we hit a milestone because there would be some pushback. It's an international long-distance relationship. Even if I were single, I'm not interested in Dave.
I mean, it doesn't, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're in a relationship or not. Your friends should respect that you don't want to be set up with these random guys that you're not interested in.
Top comment, indeed, you were not, nor should have been, a minder for a middle-aged man. If Dave thought you were cute and wanted to spend time with you, he could have opened his mouth and said so. Imagine if you ended up dating or marrying Dave. Then you could be his social coordinator and handholder possibly for the rest of your life. Doesn't that sound like a plan? S. Sarcasm. If you had been told being a date with Dave was the bride's expectation of you as a member of the bridal party, you could have saved yourself some money and time and excused yourself from the whole event. OP says, if I know how to babysit an underemployed 42-year-old man who is twice my size, I would have dropped out of the bridesmaids detail and then retire from the position. And OPT was deemed not the a-hole. We got a freaking update for you guys.
Let's do it.
Update. Hello. I made my last post about a year ago about a wedding, and I ignored the groomsman who wanted to get with me. I didn't get much attention, but the comments were pretty life-affirming. I've been going through a pretty hard time for a few years now. It's frustrating to see your friends that find that one and settle down while you're struggling to navigate your 30s alone, especially when you're from a family and a part of a country where if a woman isn't married with kids by a certain age, something must be wrong with her. Yeah, she's total loco. She's total crazy.
She's crazy.
She totally
She's
like
single?
not with her.
She's a single woman in her 30s.
So
She's
loco.
crazy.
My family and friends mean well, but they don't see how their actions hurt me. Dave did try to reach out to me after the wedding, but I just blocked him. I haven't seen or do I care to know what he's up to. I stopped talking to the bride. I really didn't appreciate the name calling or being expected to babysit a middle-aged man. Anyway, I wanted to update on this story so I can close that part of my life. After the wedding, I made it clear to everyone I am done being a bridesmaid. I am officially retired. If you're getting married, good for you. I'm not going to be a bridesmaid, not even for all expenses paid bachelorette trip to Cancun. I think the fact I was getting wasted and watching a hockey game with friends at the reception said it all. I'm just burnt out from going to too many weddings. That retirement became official over the summer. I had mentioned that I was in a long-distance relationship. It didn't work out, but it did introduce me to a pretty big career opportunity. I spent a pretty big chunk of my 2024 applying for this gig, waiting to see if I got hired. When I did, close out my life in America. Now I'm living in Australia at a job I love and being able to be my own person. I cut my hair, got some tattoos, found a hobby I love. I have new friends who run the same vibe as me. And we can continue this vibe right now. Go to your favorite podcast platform, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever it is. Search up OK Storytime, and we can get this vibe going for
And make it a
days
green
on
flag.
end.
Woo!
Red flag, green flag, right there.
Man, oh man.
You know what, girl? She stood up and said, I'm gonna
Yeah.
own my life. I'm not gonna tell people what to do.
She said, I'm not gonna go to a party if everyone's gonna try to set me up with people that I don't want to be set up with.
Yeah,
It.
no, dude,
Those are not my real friends.
they're not.
If they were your real friends, they would be like, oh, girl, you're single and not ready to mingle because you're living your life.
That's right.
And you don't need no man.
You don't need no man.
You don't need no Dave.
You don't need no Dave. All you need is you and to make your own mistakes.
I like that. That was nice.
Yeah, and also, like, if you're with friends and they're trying to shut you up, you need to fall in love, naturally yourself.
Agreed. Agreed. I remember I had a friend. Oh my God. Oh, still pisses me off. Oh my goodness. I'm trying to remember what they said. Oh, this guy liked me, and I was telling this this ex-friend, I was like, oh, you're like, I don't like them. And they were like, you need to say yes or you're gonna end up like alone or have to go on like Hinge dates. He said something like that. And I was like,
Does that happen recently?
No.
Okay,
Years
cool.
yeah. I was like, what? They said something along those lines.
I was
but it
like,
was very
they
rude.
said that to you? But, okay.
No. Ooh, I don't even know who you're talking about.
You went through this. You went through a similar situation like last week.
Did I?
Rest of the story, I don't think I'm going to get married. If I do, that's great. But at my age, I don't think kids are in my future anymore. And you know what? I'm starting to accept that. My family doesn't, but I have siblings with kids so my parents can spoil them. I think I just needed to get away from a really restrictive place in order to find my own happiness. Thanks, guys. I really needed this advice in my life. Still love the VGK, and now I can rep for them down under.
So true.
Let's go. And that's such a good story.
Woo! It's all about loving yourself. Woo!
Yay.
Love it.
Guys, we love you. Please subscribe.
Try that again.
No, you go.
I love you.
And see you tomorrow. Wait.
Come on.
Tomorrow,
And we see you.
we see you.